Thank you to all my channel members, including my fan appreciation level members and my contributor level members, for helping support the YouTube channel.
Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my June reading review, where I'm going to talk about all the books that I read in the month of June. Now, this month, for how busy I was able to accomplish quite a lot. Not only did I move in June, I started a new job in June, and I went to LibertyCon and had to edit a ton of videos and record a ton of videos. So, when you combine all that stuff together, I actually read quite a lot for how busy I was. So I believe I have it's 3 comics that I'm counting as like one book together, and then I have nine books that I read. And there's some great books here, some good books, and some mediocre books, and I have some bad books. So I always start with my worst, move up to the best. Worst has to start somewhere. The worst book of the month is Star Wars Tales from the New Republic. I was told this was going to be the best of the short story collections, and other than the Zahn and Stackpole stuff, I did not care for any of the stories in this, like any of them. And this was just a very frustrating read, and the whole time I was reading it, I was like, I want to be reading something else. And yeah, so this was not a good book. I also read Planet of Twilight, which is the last book in the Callista trilogy. I think it is better than Children of the Jedi, at least. It's less weird, but it's still a weak book. So it was sad that I had the two bad books this month were the Star Wars books. That was really unfortunate. But those are the bad books. Getting into the mediocre stuff, I'm going to start off, really just one mediocre thing, is the Star Wars High Republic comics. Now, some of you are like, Jonathan, you're just talking about Star Wars. I'm not going to have Star Wars for a while after this, but I read these comics in preparation for the release of Trials of the Jedi, and the first 2 comics I just thought were mediocre. The third comic was mostly mediocre, but the ending of this comic has the end of this book has and a 2-issue series by Charles Soule called The Eye of the Nile, and it is the Eye of Storm, whatever it's called. It's about Marchion Ro. That 2 issues was great, was fantastic, and I wish that had been the longer part of this. So yeah, these were fine reads. If you enjoy the High Republic, you'll have a good time, but not worth the full price point. All right, now getting into, there were some good books here. We have Stone and Tide, which I read. This is a self-published book by Z.S. Diamante. This is an epic fantasy, very classic style epic fantasy, mixed in with some modern tropes, but a very classic style classic fantasy. And I really liked the first half of this book, and would have been higher, except for the second half of the book I just didn't care for. So, yeah, that's Stone and Tide. I gave this like a 7 out of 10. It was entertaining overall. It could have been better. Now, reverse that where with Stone and Tide, I said the first part was great, the second part wasn't as good. Reverse that with The She-Wolf, which is the 5th book in Maurice Druon's The Accursed King series, where I felt the first part of this book really dragged, and I thought the second half of it got a lot better. The Accursed King series, which, by the way, I'll have reviews for these on the channel, but the Accursed King series, the first 4 books were all kind of together in the same time period, and then there's like a 5 or 6 year jump with this book, and it was kind of jarring. And this book focuses on England more than it does on France. I mean, it has to do with France, but it's focused more on England than the other books, and it feels out of place. And it's the longest book of the series, at least so far, and I did enjoy it. It's not as good as the first ones, and I don't own 6 or 7 yet. I've been told 7 is really not good, but I've been told 6 at least is pretty good, but once I find it, I'll read it. But for now, that's book 5 of the Accursed King series. All right, now we're moving into some pretty good stuff here, and we'll start off with Star Trek Gateways, Book 4, Demons of Aryan Darkness. I read this for Literary Treks, which is the podcast talking about Star Trek books. That's really my Star Trek reads for the last year and a half have pretty much just been for Literary Treks. And we're going through the Gateway series, and I actually really enjoyed this one. I had a lot of nitpicks, but it is still a very entertaining book. And I found it delightful, and it's a good post DS9 series book. It really fits into that continuity real well, like Tyranitar and Vaughn, Tenmi, all those characters are great in here. Although, ironically, the two cover characters are not as much in the book as you'd think. But it was a good book. And then I also had Patterns of the Force, the third book in the Coruscant Nights trilogy. I thought that this was a very good book, very good ending to the Coruscant Nights trilogy. I still think book one was the best of this trilogy, but this book I thought was pretty good. And I do have reviews of these books all on the channel. Oh, we're getting some good books. And this is a book I did not expect and would not have... Well, I should say, I knew this author would be good. I did not expect this particular book to be as good as it is, and that is Ben Bova's Mercury. Whoops, didn't mean to hit the thing. So, Mercury, it's a standalone in his Grand Tour, so you can kind of read it at any point, and it's actually not really about Mercury. I mean, Mercury is there, but Mercury is secondary in this story compared to the other books. Like Mars is primary in their focus in the Mars trilogy. In the Jupiter duology, Jupiter itself is incredibly important. The character journeys are always the most important, but the planets shape the story quite a bit. Mercury, the planet is important, but it doesn't really shape the story. This is a revenge storyline, and it is a fantastic revenge storyline. I didn't see it all coming the way it did. It is delightful. It has great themes, great character interactions, and Ben Bova just knocked it out of the park yet again. Again, don't go in expecting all this hard sci-fi like in the others. It is a hard sci-fi book, and it's very realistic in what he does, even though it's people on Mercury, which shouldn't work. But he does a good job with it. It's just that's not the focus. So don't go in expecting that to be the focus. Think of it as being a revenge storyline, but it's still really good. The second best book I read this month was actually the first book I read this month, and it is so good, and that is John Grisham's The Firm. This is a superb legal thriller. This is less on the legal side of it, more on the thriller side. Yes, it's all about a lawyer infiltrating a law firm. Or not infiltrating. He is hired to work at this law firm, and he finds out that this law firm is doing some bad stuff, and he ends up being kind of recruited by the government to try to take down this law firm from the inside. And even though it's got all that legal stuff in there, you would think it was going to be much more legal focused. It's really more thriller focused. It's about the tension. It's about the worrying of if he's going to get caught. It's about he goes on the run. Are they going to catch him? What's going to happen to the main character's wife? What's going to happen to his friends? It's the thriller part of this. It really leans on the thriller. It's more of an action thriller than it is legal thriller, but it is a legal thriller. But it's still a superb book, and I had a blast reading it. It's not a favorite Grisham. In fact, it might not even be my top 5 Grisham, but it's still a great John Grisham book, and I really enjoyed it. And I do need to go watch the movie, because I've heard the Tom Cruise movie is pretty good. But that leaves what was my book of the month. And I was hoping this book would be book of the month because it really needed to be because of what this series needed. And that is Trials of the Jedi, the final book in the Star Wars High Republic series with gorgeous cover art. I don't know if you can tell with the glare, but it's gorgeous cover art and it wraps around to the back. It's so good. But this book needed to stick the landing for the High Republic series, and it absolutely, absolutely did. Charles Soule, one of the best Star Wars writers out there. He's only done 2 novels, and both of his novels have been top-tier novels for Star Wars, and his comics are always great. But he started the High Republic with Light of the Jedi, and he ended it with Trials of the Jedi, and man, did he knock it out of the park. He had so much he had to do, and he did it all. Everything is the way I wanted it, but it's still very satisfyingly written. Some of it I think is going to be controversial, although I haven't really seen the fandom discuss it as much, what I thought would be controversial, but I think it will come out eventually. But I loved Trials of the Jedi. I think it is such a great book, such a great ending. I'm so glad it sticks the landing for the series. I already have my regular review, and I believe my spoiler review is either out or going to be out soon. And then I'm going to have ranking videos and should you read and a post-mortem on the whole High Republic series. I'm going to have a ton of High Republic videos. But yeah, I love this book, and I'm so glad that it stuck the landing. So those are all the books that I read in the month of June. Again, it was all over the place, but it's okay. It's okay. By the way, just to head off a question I might get is, so much of your TBR is Star Wars books. Why is that? Well, I'm trying to keep up the new releases. So whenever a new release, like a new novel like Trials of the Jedi comes out, I read it. But also, whenever I'm trying to 100% the expanding universe by the end of the year, and that means I need to do about 3 Star Wars EU books per month plus new releases. So that's sometimes like 4 Star Wars books a month, which is a lot. When my TBR is usually about 10 books. But this is so I can 100% the EU, be done with it in December, and then hopefully in January I'll move on to other stuff. Because I have a lot of books on my shelves. I counted recently. I have 400 to-be-read books on my shelves. I've read about 800 of them, so I'm at 2/3. So if you've read any of the books I talked about today, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.